Hello and welcome to another episode of the E-commerce Coffee Break podcast. Today we want to talk about decision intelligence. We want to touch on analytics, KPIs, benchmarks, due diligence, and everything that comes with it. I'm really looking forward to it because I'm not an expert in that and I'm really keen to learn more about it. So with me on the show today, I have Fran Quilty. He's the CEO and co-founder of Conjura.com, an e-commerce analytics product. His background in analytics is analytics consulting, and he has always enjoyed learning about how business make money and what playbook they use to grow. So let's welcome him to the show. Hi, Fran. How are you today?
Hi, Klaus. I'm great. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you.
Fran, let's dive right into it. So obviously, intelligence sounds very complex, and a lot of things go into that. Give me a bit of a background what
Yeah.
you think decision intelligence actually is and what kind of bits and pieces are part of it.
So I guess, Klaus, analytics has evolved over the last few years and is continues to evolve, particularly with e-commerce. And I think traditionally analytics used to mean, numbers on a spreadsheet, and then it transitioned into dashboards with filters. Now it's probably moving more towards recommended actions and even, buttons to do the actions for you. So almost so decision intelligence, I think, is more about operators using data to improve their business, and the way they do that is probably getting easier and easier as the data tools evolve.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, every merchant out there has some KPIs, or every marketer out there has some KPIs they're looking at, and they're coming from different tools, from different sources, and sometimes it's very difficult to get a grip on it because it can be very complex. And there's good reasons to have your benchmarks and your KPIs. Tell me a little bit on what you see people, companies struggling the most with.
Yeah, I think a lot of e-commerce brands don't understand if they're making money or not. I think, you're well aware of the fact that, stock is bought way in advance, marketing spend is done in advance, you obviously have the order and you get the revenue in later days. And I think brands don't really know what products are profitable, what campaigns are profitable. And, you hear a lot about contribution margin, which is really what products are trying to show operators now to really help them understand, with all the costs and everything involved, where you're actually making money. And I think that's the toughest thing for brands to understand.
Mm-hmm. Now you have your benchmarks and you have your KPIs. How do you compare these two things with each other?
Yeah, so benchmarking is an interesting one. I think it's something that, sophisticated investors have been using for years. So hedge funds, et cetera, always look at what the market is doing. If they're investing in companies, how those companies are doing against their peer group. And it's something that operators have been slow to adopt. So I think a lot of brands will kind of say, well, what do I do with benchmarks? Why look at them? And I think the important thing is you need to understand your relative performance. So I suppose e-commerce is cyclical. There you have up periods, down periods, and all your competitors have the same. So you need to know if you've had a bad week, is that just what's happening in the market, or is it you? Or, so there's, I think, benchmarking for everything, for revenue, for traffic, for conversion rates, for gross margin, for repeat purchase rates of customers. All these things need to be understood so that you know what you can improve on in your business, I guess. Because sometimes you might have a bad week and it's just everybody has a bad week and it's not something that you need to necessarily address. Or other times you could have a very good period in your business, but you could be weak in an area that you don't know you're weak in, and that's the area you should be concentrating on.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the value of benchmarks.
Okay. Now, obviously, I get stressed out if I have a bad week, and I don't know if it's just me or if it's the market in general. So where do I get these benchmark numbers from to either see my vertical, my industry, my niche, what others do? Seems to be difficult for me because obviously my competitors will not necessarily tell me if they had a bad week too.
Sure. So, I mean, we in Conjura, we've obviously used benchmarking for quite a long period now, and we offer that as a kind of a free service. There are other tools out there, and you'll see Shopify have adopted benchmarking in their tool. Triple Whale do it. So lots of data brands now, because they are analytics products, have thousands and thousands of customers. So, we in Conjura, we have 10,000 brands in our benchmark table. So you can filter, verticals, sub-verticals, territories if you're in a particular country, and still get quite a good comparison size. Even if you're in men's shoes in Germany, you'll have some other brands. You won't know which brands they are, but you'll have comparison number of brands to compare, to look at your KPIs against. So it's getting very popular, I think, in a lot of the tools that e-commerce operators use nowadays.
Mm-hmm. What's the best way to work with retail analytics? You said spreadsheets, that's the past. Now we're looking at dashboards and other tools out there. I'm very visually driven. So if I look at numbers, my brain sort of gets a bit of in an issue there. What's the best way to really visualize the data?
Yeah, I think we definitely see two types of people. So some people only like tables and some people only like charts, and often you fall into one of those categories. So a lot of products like Conjura will show both. So, we show big detailed tables if that's what you like. We show trending charts if that's what you like. And I think it's important to understand what your preference is and just almost focus on that alone. And then in terms of, getting value, I think we're super focused on recommending actions and allowing users now to push buttons to initiate those actions. So, we're trying to move beyond, here's what happened and off you go and investigate, the reasons behind that. We're trying to actually surface some real tangible insights and then tell operators what they should do with back of those insights.
Mm-hmm. I want to touch on that. Obviously, in an organization, you have different departments. You have your marketing, your sales, you have your accounting, you have your CEO. And so who's working with your tool? Because not everyone is a data scientist. So who can I expect to work with your tool, with different parts of it?
Yeah, it's definitely a mixture of different people in companies. So it'd be CEOs, founders, operations, merchandising people, e-commerce directors, sometimes marketing, marketing analysts or marketing team members. But, I suppose there's certain parts of the tool that will suit others. So for example, we have a really detailed contribution margin at a SKU level view, which traces your marketing spend in the likes of, Performance Max down to SKU level. That's really valuable for both merchandisers and e-commerce directors who are really tweaking the dials at a kind of down to that level of detail. But it won't be as relevant to a CEO perhaps who wants to just see overall profitability over time. So definitely a mixture of stakeholders in the business will use different parts of the tool.
Mm-hmm. You just mentioned Google Ads there. What kind of data sources flow into your tool?
So, Shopify is the main e-commerce platform. We also connect to Ecommerce and an Amazon connector coming soon. And in terms of ad platforms, mostly it's Meta, so, Instagram and Facebook, Google Ads and TikTok ads. Some operators might use Bing, but yeah, a lot of our customers would be generally spending money on either Google, Meta, or TikTok.
With all these tools, what's kind of the onboarding process? Or put it the other way, at which stage do merchants come to you and are looking for a solution?
Yeah, so I think our customers vary hugely from small customers with, 200,000 or 300,000 in revenue, all the way up to, I suppose, mid-tier businesses with 50, 60 million in turnover. So there isn't I wouldn't say there's a particular time. I think when operators have the time to, I suppose, I guess we provide there's an ROI on the Conjura product itself. So, we show value to all customers who come in and we say, hey, this is what your contribution margin was before you started with us, and this is what it is now based on what you've done with us. So we try to work with small and medium businesses and show them the value through through the trend of their KPIs. So yeah, I think, on onboarding, very, very easy to onboard on tools like Conjura. So all you need to do is authenticate Conjura into your various accounts, which typically takes 5 to 10 minutes. So, signing into Shopify and allowing Conjura access to the API, for example, will take 30 seconds. So there isn't really much of a configuration. It's almost letting Conjura into your various cloud-based tools, and then we do our work. So it's very, very easy to get set up.
Mm-hmm. What kind of results do your customers see once they have the system working?
So generally, our big KPI is contribution margin. So that's, really as close to net profit as you can get without taking in general operating costs. And we typically see that contribution margin as a percentage going up, which means you're making more money. So a lot of our recent customers, for example, could have a contribution margin of sort of 12, 13%. And after 3 months of Conjura, that's up to 25, 26%. So, really, really good ROI. And that's coming from understanding what products are actually loss making, readjusting the ad spend, pricing, maybe what you put on the website where. So lots of actions you can take, but in the end, it just means that you're getting better bang for your buck on marketing spend, and optimizing your pricing to generate more profits.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's definitely a huge win there. What's your pricing structure? How does that work?
Yeah, so very low pricing. Our entry level pricing is $199 per month. It's monthly rolling contracts, so brands aren't signing up for big long contracts. We're confident of showing return on investment, so we don't need to lock customers into big contracts. And then as businesses scale up, the pricing, with your turnover, pricing increases to, from the $250, $300, $350 for slightly larger customers. So, in the bands of $199 a month to sort of $400 a month, really.
Mm-hmm. Are there any kind of specific industries, verticals, or niches that are using your tool more than others?
No, we've got all sorts of customers from every different vertical. So, fashion, beauty, pets, baby care. We had customers sign up recently selling crutches online. So anything that you could think of, our customers are selling online, which is great because we like to see a lot of diversity in our customer base. And there's a huge, difference in seasonality. Some customers are busier in the summer, some are busier around Christmas, but it does vary with the different customers.
Mm-hmm. More of a broader question. Obviously, with all the different industries that you're working with, you have the finger on the pulse of e-commerce. What kind of emerging trends do you see right now in the online retail market?
Well, luckily, I think there is a bit of a bounce back in general. So, I suppose Europe and the UK had a poor 2022 and a slow start to 2023, but there is a recovery, which is good. I think brands are more focused on profit. They're not focused on growth anymore. They're very, very conscious to, spend carefully. I think the early adopters to new tools, early adopters to TikTok, etc., have done very well. So companies that can do social well definitely seem to really benefit from that. And it's tough to get right because a lot of work needed. And whether you're doing TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, there's a lot of work needed to build up the skill sets. But I've probably noticed, the companies that are really growing virally are very good at social, which is, combination of paid and unpaid.
Yeah, specifically with social, you're sort of targeting a moving target there. So because it's evolving so fast, so many features coming up, so not an easy task there. Before our coffee break comes to an end today, is there anything that you want to share with our listeners that we haven't covered yet?
No, I think we offer a free kind of audit of businesses. We call it an e-assessment, and it stems from our history of working with investors. So we have screened hundreds of companies on behalf of VCs, private equity, even private investors. And we have a sort of version of a due diligence report on e-commerce businesses that can give a lot of value to founders. And, it's not only a report that you would share with investors, but your management team would look at your business in this kind of lens. So I think if any of the listeners are interested in that, type of outside-in analysis of their business, we'd be very happy to talk to them, because it's fully automated within our product now, and it's something that definitely we are proud of, and something that differentiates us from a lot of other companies. So.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a great offer, because as a merchant, as an online business owner, it's sometimes very difficult to see the forest because of all the trees, and then having some outside perspective looking on what's actually happening might help and might show some areas that you really need to work on. Where can people find out more about you guys?
Yeah, so our website is, as you said, is Conjura, CONJURA.com. You'll find us on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and various social platforms, but coming straight to our website is the best place to come.
Okay, I will put the links in the show notes, then you're just one click away. Fran, thanks so much for the time today. I think the very interesting topic, specifically the benchmarking part, I think is very, very interesting. And a lot of merchants out there should just benchmark their KPIs against the market out there. I think there's a huge learning curve for a lot of people out there. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, guys. Pleasure.
Hey, Klaus here. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. Before we wrap things up, I've got a couple of important points to share. Firstly, if you have enjoyed today's episode and want to support the show, here's a simple way to do it. Help me out with that algorithm magic by liking, commenting, and subscribing on your favorite podcast app. And if you're feeling extra generous, leaving a rating would be great. Your support helps me bringing more impactful guests on the show, and it makes it easier for others to discover the podcast. Secondly, I want to talk about to all your business owners out there. Here's a question. Are you tired of juggling everything in your business while struggling with your marketing tasks? Fed up with hit and miss experiences of hiring freelancers or agencies that don't quite get your vision? But perhaps you're not ready to commit to a full-time in-house marketer just yet. Well, I've got a solution for you. Introducing our fractional marketing team. My team and I provide top-notch experienced marketing professionals to become an extension of your business. Not only will they save you up to 50% on cost compared to traditional hires, but they also take care of all this time-consuming, repetitive and complex marketing tasks that have been holding you back. And this way you can concentrate on what truly matters, the core of your business. To learn more about how we can help you to scale up your online sales with a fractional team member, head over to our website, smart-ecommerce-marketing.com, or reach out to me directly and I'll get you the details. You will find the links in the show notes. Thanks for being a part of our podcast community, and remember, your support means the world to me. Until next time, see you then.